Okay, today we get to expand our knowledge of simplifying rational expressions, and we get to work with multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So again, we're doing it just like we multiply and divide fractions. So yeah, just like multiplying fractions, multiply rational expressions straight across. You'll want to cross cancel first. So like for example, you've probably done problems like this before, where it's like 2/3 times 3/8. And you say, okay, that's 6/24, and I'm going to reduce it to 1/4. So you just multiplied straight across. But some of you may have been, I guess, a little more pro at this and use cross-canceling and say, well, here's 3 and 3, that's a common factor, I can get rid of that. And then here's 2 and 8, which I could divide them both by 2 and make that 1/4, and then just multiply across, which I still get 1/4. The second method, where you're cross-canceling first, is going to be a lot easier when we're multiplying and dividing fractions with rational expressions. So if I give you this one, 7/y times 8/y squared. First I'd look and I'd say, okay, well, there's nothing actually I can cross-cancel. There's no common factors from numerator to denominator. So I'm just going to multiply straight across. 7 times 8 is 56. Y times y squared is y cubed. Nothing I can reduce, so I'm done. Okay, let's try another couple. All right, here, x over x plus 5 times x minus 2 over x minus 6. So, multiply straight across. So here I'm going to have x times x minus 2, and on the bottom I'd be doing x plus 5 times x minus 6. Okay, this right here would be called factored form, because again, I didn't see anything I could cross-cancel. If I wanted to write it in standard form, I would multiply it out, and I'd have x squared minus 2x over x squared minus x minus 30. Okay, so this would be like multiplied out. Most of the time, you'll be asked to leave your results in factored form, which is nice because it's actually much easier to do, saves you time. The reason why is then it's also easy to find common factors and cancel them out. So you may be asked to do one or the other, but if you're asked to do it in factored form, then the first answer is totally acceptable. Okay, so here's this one. Multiply 3x plus 1 over 4 and 8x over 9x squared minus 1. Okay, so I highly recommend doing this. So we've got 3x plus 1 over 4 times 8x over 9x squared minus 1. I think it works much, much more easily if you try to cancel out your common factors first. So here we've got some common factors. So this 4 and this 8x, we can divide them both by 4 because 4 is a common factor. So that would just make this a 1, and that would make this a 2x. Okay. 3x plus 1 actually goes into 9x squared minus 1. If you check that out, 9x squared minus 1, that's a difference of squares. That's 3x plus 1 times 3x minus 1. So I'm going to erase that, and we're going to use that factored form at the bottom. It's going to help us a lot. Okay, and then I'm going to cancel out common factors, which 3x plus 1 and 3x plus 1 are common factors. So now I've canceled out my common factors, and I'm just going to multiply it straight across. So on the top, all that I have left is 2x. On the bottom, that's just a 1. And in my second denominator, all I have left is 3x minus 1. These do not have any common factors. You're done. Okay. I think it would be good for you to try this one on your own if you think you possibly can. So 5x plus 1 over 3x plus 12 multiplied by x squared plus 7x plus 12. So again, I highly recommend trying to factor out these before you multiply them out. It makes it much, much easier. Otherwise, you're going to do all these like binomials times trinomials, and it's going to get really complex, and you're going to have to do some complicated factoring. So I would recommend, so 5x plus 1, it doesn't have a GCF, it has no, we can't really factor that any better. But 3x plus 12, we can make that 3 times the quantity x plus 4. And we're multiplying that by this, x squared plus 7x plus 12, and that's going to be x plus 3 times x plus 4. And remember, we can put that over 1 if we want to, if that helps you. Okay, now this is good because I'm going to try to cross-cancel. I'm going to find any common factors. So it looks like I do have one set of common factors here. I have x plus 4 and x plus 4. Cancel out. So on the top, it looks like I have 5x plus 1 times x plus 3. And on the bottom, the only thing I have left is 3. So if I tell you to multiply it out, multiply it out. Otherwise, you could leave it in factored form like that. There would be no other common factors, so you'd be done. Okay, so there's like a little brief multiplication lesson. We're going to move on to dividing. So just like dividing regular fractions, when you divide rational expressions, you multiply by the reciprocal. So if I said, hey, divide x squared plus 13x plus 40 over x minus 7 by x plus 8 over x squared minus 49, you would be doing this multiplication problem. X squared plus 13x plus, okay, so plus 40 over x minus 7 times, so we're dividing by this, so we're going to flip the second fraction, x squared minus 49 all over x plus 8. Now usually I would probably do the factoring out first before I even deal with that, but let's just do it now. So I'm going to factor out the top. So I'm going to have, that looks like it will be x plus 8 times x plus 5 all over x minus 7. And then x squared minus 49, another lovely difference of squares, x minus 7 times x plus 7, all over x plus 8. Okay, and now it's a multiplication problem. I can cross out my common factors. So I've got x plus 8 and x plus 8 on the top and the bottom. Those will cancel out. I've got an x minus 7 and an x minus 7, which will cancel out. So it looks like I'm just left with x plus 5 times x plus 7. If I say factored form, that's fine. Otherwise, you'd write it as x squared plus 12x plus 35. Okay. All right, let's try another one. Okay, so divide x squared plus 9x plus 14 over 11x by 8x squared plus 16x. So again, I'm going to probably this time factor this out right away. It's going to make it easier. So that looks like it's x plus 2 times x plus 7 over 11x. And then this, it's 8x is a common factor. So I've got 8x times x plus 2. Okay, I'm dividing that by that, so I'm multiplying it by the reciprocal, so I'm going to multiply it by 1 over 8x times x plus 2. Okay, then it looks like I'm going to, again, look for some common factors. So I've got x plus 2 and x plus 2. Even though right here we've got an x and an x that are, in common, they're both on the denominator, so you can't cancel them out. Okay, so then I'm going to multiply straight across. On the top, I just have x plus 7. On the bottom, I have 11x times 8x, so I would have 88x squared, and I'm done. Okay, so multiplying and dividing fractions, I want you to try to describe in your own words how you would multiply and divide rational expressions. And this is a pretty short video, but it takes a lot of practice to get good at this. It's not super, super challenging once you practice a lot, but it's hard at first. So we'll practice, and try not to be intimidated.